of this 10th National Congress of JAAI Milan Patna 2023. This is the first session, the keynote session, and I request our executive committee member, Shri Kumar, to kindly start our keynote speaker of the day, Shri Abhayanand sir, to the dais.
A full shot and a close-up look.
I also request our National Advisor for JAAI, Father John Ravi, and the President of JAAI, C.S. Chenthil Kumar, to kindly come on the stage with the keynote speaker. Once again, I request you all those who are in the basement and have taken your breakfast, kindly come fast. The keynote speaker is on the dais. Please welcome him with a big round of applause. Our keynote speaker for today is Mr. Abhayanand, the former DGP of Bihar and the founder of the famous Super 30. Keynote speaker for today, after studying from this campus, St. Xavier's Patna, and also in the St. Michael's Patna, joined Patna Science College, where he was declared as the best graduate of the year 1975. Following his graduation from Patna Science College, Abhayanand sir was selected as an IPS officer of the Bihar cadre after clearing UPSC civil service examination in 1977. As an outstanding police officer, he took many initiatives and achieved desired results, which has been greatly appreciated by one and all. As a young officer of ASP of Sasaram, he took up the challenge of confronting dreaded criminals of the unified Betia district, where his glory is sung to this day. The notorious toll mafia ran for their lives when he was Superintendent of Police Criminal Bureau of Investigation, Ranchi. He acquired valuable skills for investigating crime during his tenure with the CBI from 2003 to 2005. As ADG headquarters in 2006, he concentrated on the speedy trial of arms act cases in Bihar. He is said to be the brain behind the speedy trial and conviction of criminals in Bihar. As Abhayanand sir has envisioned, this instilled the fear of law in the lawbreakers. This initiative has drawn the attention of many across the world. Princeton Review has done a study on this. Later, during his tenure as the ADG of Bihar Military Police, Patna, he motivated the constables to donate from their salaries to convert a dilapidated government hospital into a modern nursing home with the state-of-the-art facilities for treatment of the police force and their family members. High integrity has been a hallmark for generations in his family. Abhayanand sir was appointed as the 48th DGP of Bihar in August 2011, following the footsteps of his father, who was the 28th DGP of Bihar, Mr. Jaddanand. The baton and the uniform have not taken away any of his academic interest, and he always remained connected with the academic activities and students, especially poor students. He conceptualized Super 30 to teach poor students to crack IIT JEE and has a unique distinction of seeing all his students through to the IIT. His achievements as a great teacher have been appreciated by many institutions such as CNN, IBM, who has given him the Real Hero Award. He has been selected for the Bihari Hoto Aisa Award by the ETV and Achievement Award by Amity University. His grandchild, Chadde Bihar, trains poor but talented students and brought forth outstanding results. Abhayanand sir also provides academic mentorship to various programs run by CSRR, around 21 such centers which includes Oil India Super 30, Assam, National Super 100 Delhi, Gale Uttar Super 100 Kanpur are running under his guidance and mentorship with more than 600 students. In 2020-21, 328 out of 599 students tracked IIT from these centers. Abhayanand sir's class and demeanor shows in all his activities. There is so much for all of us to emulate from him. He is a truly Javarian, living up to the school's motto for God and country. So I welcome Abhayanand sir for the keynote speech. Sir.
Thank you, gentlemen, especially the Jesuit Association, National, International, Patna chapter, everyone, for having given me this opportunity of making out a keynote address on a topic called Shaping the Decade, Indian Decade, Opportunities and Challenges. When I first got this request from the delegates who had come to my house to invite me for this purpose, I was honored as well as humbled. Honored because, yes, talking to a group of delegates who have come from far and wide, I hardly find anyone who can be called a local from Patna, but there is a huge number who have really come down to this place and to this institution. I like to associate the word humbled with this institution, because the moment I come here and get out of my car and look at this building and the school, I just bow my head in respect. The word that keeps sounding and resounding in my ears are for God and country, the motto of this school. So, coming to the suitability of my personality to talk about decade and opportunities and challenges, let me begin with my limitation. I looked up the meaning of the word decade, and it says a decade of technology, which again suggests that the moment we talk about technology, it gives out a sense of being not very old concept. It's a very recent concept. Yes, it is true, because when I entered this school in the year 1962, there was hardly any mention of technology. There used to be mention of science and arts, 1962. If you grow up, child, would you like to study science? And if you want to study science, you have to do a lot of mathematics. So that is how I had grown up. gentlemen, this, as somebody said, is a part of the challenge, an opportunity to technology. Yes. So, I was at the point of time when I got into school and I had not heard of technology. Even when I came to the 10th class, science, yes, and by God's grace, I was really interested in science, especially mathematics and physics. And as I went along, I realized technology is almost like a first cousin to science. Without science, you can't do much of technology. And at this stage when I had got into the policing was done in a very traditional way in Bihar, and I believe in most of the other parts of this country, where a crime gets committed, you catch hold of a criminal and use all types of methods which are not allowed. And then if you succeed in detecting the crime, you feel so happy about it. I used to still feel that there could be a lot of data analysis, even in those days. I'm talking of the years very early 1980s. And I tried this. Of course, we didn't have computers. The best we had was a calculator. And yet I tried data analysis for a particular crime to get a sense of who has committed it, which used to be very esoteric in those days. I'll just recount a couple of my experiences, maybe only one. That is when I became the DGP. This data work was not getting done in the police at a very good scale, like they are doing it in the other areas of life, like industry. But in a particular case, there was a burglary which was committed. A new shop was burgled in the night. And when I personally went there and saw it, and I found that the senior SP was trying to get to the data part of it. His model, the model that he had developed in his mind was that whoever has come here around 3 o'clock in the night has used mobiles. And we got hold of the mobiles which were active around 3 o'clock in the morning in a locality, and we could zero in on to about 10 of them. And when we focused on those 10, we were able to detect the crime. So I realized that even in policing, technology was helpful in detecting crimes. Nowadays, there are a lot of stories and such stories. I'm talking of the year 2011 and 12, when technology was not so much in use in the police department. At least in Bihar, I won't say anything about other states, as I have not seen those states functioning in terms of crime and law and order. Why I gave you this simple example is because I realized that technology is a lot of data. And the picture that I could create in my mind was, is technology, and the question that I asked myself was, is technology almost synonymous with crime? I mean, data, data structure, data analysis, big data analytics, what we call artificial intelligence these days, maybe coding. These are words which are now becoming so replete with usage that is almost become synonymous with technology. That's the image that I get in my mind. when I read this. Now, I started trying to figure out if this is true, and if this is true, what are the opportunities? And I realized that this is almost true. I'm sitting here or I'm talking to you from this dais. There are so many molecules and atoms, they're moving around in me, swishing around, doing all sorts of things. The food that I had just had and everything else. Now if you picture it, every movement is a data. And if, suppose hypothetically, if I'm able to capture all that data and put it on a screen, so the data is full, the screen is full of data, and it gives out a picture. The whole concept is, can anybody read that data? And if somebody can, then he sees life. So the next concept that started building up in me, and that too very recently in the last about 10 years, is if data is all that is required, can we say that we have really won the battle? And we have got all the data, and therefore we know where life is leading us. If that is true, then I don't think there is nothing much to wish for. I'll give you an example. Let's say we talk about diseases. And about 10 years ago, I had heard a child is born, I can get all his genetic sequences sequenced. And once I have all the genetic sequences, then I can predict what's going to happen to this child. Will he suffer from diabetes? Will he suffer from blood pressure? Or will he be a very healthy person? So if genetics could answer all these questions, then I'm sure we had enough data with us and enough technology with us to gather all the data, put it up, and if we had the, I would say, if you were a very good domain manager of all that data, you could say, look, this is what is going to happen to this guy 10 years later. So life is all set. This unfortunately did not happen. People still feel that this can happen, and I wish it does not happen, because there has to be something between the certainty of certain things happening and the data at the present moment. And how does the data evolve? And that is how technology is going to evolve and lead us to somewhere where we'll finally end up with. The issue that I'm trying to bring out is, in the area of genetics, there were big questions. They said, okay, if every cell in your gene, every cell in your body has the same genetic structure, then why doesn't the bone cell behave like a liver cell, if that is what's happening? And then in the last 5 years, I've been reading this very avidly. They came across a word called epigenetics. And the moment I heard of this, I got fascinated. And I got reminded of somebody called Richard P. Feynman. He's a Nobel Prize in physics from US. Of course, he's no more. And somehow he used to be my ideal in terms of scientific thinking. I read almost everything on available about him, his books and everything. He's a person who has really fascinated me with his ideas. And he has talked about such ideas. He says, you can peel an onion. The layer which goes out has been unraveled, but then up comes another layer which still has to be unraveled. So I thought that this was a very good concept, and it only means that you can keep peeling and you will always come up with another enigma of nature, which means the human effort has to keep going on. Linking it up with what are the challenges then? Collecting all the data and putting it in a data structure is not a big challenge anymore, because even the tip of a pin, that area can gather the data of the entire universe and can be put there. We know how fast these computers work, and the chip is so small and yet can keep data of such huge quantity. The bits and kilobits are now very small, the megas and the tetras. Yes, housing it is not a big issue. So warehousing of data is not a big issue at all. But can we put life into data? And what do we really mean by putting life into data? My feeling about this is, can we interpret this data? Not exactly as a domain manager, but as time evolves, can we see it evolving? And now the feeling that I have is, there is no app which can make it evolve for a very long time, because the improbables that come up in between are quite a few. So the challenge then exists, can we put life into the data that we have collected in the chips and the microchips, in the systems that we have developed technologically? I think one of the big challenges is putting life into data and trying to interpret data not only at this moment, that is the instantaneous part. Can we predict the future from the data that we have collected today? So the evolution of data is a big challenge. If we can do it, and I'm sure we'll be able to do a bit of it, but I do not know whether this can go on for an infinite time. If we could, then maybe we would be able to see almost everything sitting here. Well, I was reading through from very early days areas in technology when computers had not even evolved, had not been shaped, computers had not come. And the concept of a man-data interface, a man talking to data, a man seeing data as a human being. So we keep talking to our fellow beings. But when we talk to a machine who's carrying the data, can we make out that I'm not talking to a machine, I'm talking to a human being? Can we distinguish? And the answer given at a point of time in the early parts of the last century was, no, you may not be able to distinguish between talking to a man and talking to a machine. And machine, as I said, I link it up with data. The concept of the Turing machine, that fascinated me a lot. And imagine somebody in an age when computers had not come up, and he talks about a machine talking to a man, and the man is not able to distinguish whether he is talking to a human being or talking to a machine. The Turing concept, I couldn't understand the whole gamut of what it exactly meant, but trying to understand the human mind, and people just wanted to understand it through as if it is a machine, became a big challenge. I have a feeling that if we try to understand the human mind as a machine, the big challenge is you are trying to understand the mind through the mind. Again, a very difficult thing. It's like a meter scale is being used to measure the height of this building, and what is being used to measure the meter scale itself? It can't measure it itself. So similarly, the mind trying to talk to the mind and the mind trying to understand itself becomes a very difficult concept. Will it be happening one day? I do not really know. So I would not like to drag it further, because then it leads into areas which are very uncertain. I just tried to bring out my concepts, which left me with questions which are really unanswered and which are not, at least I am not able to find answers very easily. I wish somebody could. Leaving you at this, if you have questions, you can come up and ask them, else we can move ahead with the program. Thank you very much.
For this Congress that is shaping India's stated challenges and opportunities. And of course, we have the challenge in the middle of your address also. So, thank you very much. I now invite all the leaders. If you have any questions, sir is available to answer. So if you want any question, so if anyone wants to have any question, can raise their hand.
Hello.
Yeah. So toddler's mic is there. Anyone who wants to have a question can raise their hand. Yes. Dr. Devendra Singh, he is the immediate past president of JAAI. Sir, please.
Sir, you have been with the police services. My question is, what do you feel about the deep intervention of artificial intelligence, use of data, and infringement of the personal privacy space of every citizen living on this planet?
Thank you so much for this question. Police is gradually increasing its dependence on artificial intelligence. Much to be done still, but from zero to something, the first step has been very encouraging. At least I saw it in my last days in the police. When I give you an example of how I tried to intervene and get to cracking a burglary case through just data. There is no individual whom I had to interrogate or find out. As far as the second part of your question is concerned, let's admit that police is the biggest infiltrator in the area of privacy. So if it uses another stick called artificial intelligence and gets into your intimate areas or your privacy areas, the entire society is quite worried about it. Not only through the police, because the police intervenes, but because of other things also. We are aware of it and we see it happening. The Supreme Court, I am told, is seized of this matter, and they're trying to find out ways and means in which people like the investigating agencies, the police, or whichever investigating agency you can think of, how far and no further. These are areas, unfortunately what's happening is a lot of intervention is taking place without anybody knowing about it. So it's a new area, new concern. The only thing I can suggest is let's be alert about what's happening. And if we are alert, then something can be done. If we are not alert, then we can be thrown off our feet.
Hello. So Ronaldo Tusta, he is also the past president of JAAI and past UJA council member also.
In school, you were told you could take science or maths, and then by the time you finished, things had changed. My question to you is this: what would be your suggestion to the principals of schools here of how they can change fast enough, because technology is turning very fast? How can they help their students be able to choose the role of technology in this world?
My take on them, the thing that really will help them is make them realize that they have a mind of their own and that they can think on their own. Let's not give them information. I'm dead against doling out a lot of information and cluttering their mind with information, these facts. And how does it really matter whether somebody knows whether Patna is a capital of Bihar or not? It really doesn't matter, as long as he understands what capital means. So he should be able to know the whys of things and not the hows of things or what of things. Most of the time we are doling out a lot of whats. So my take is, give them enough freedom to question things and to understand things without giving them, oh, you are wrong, this is right. He may be wrong, but why can't he realize on his own that he is wrong? And that he can do only when he is able to think for himself. Technology can come later. And if he is able to understand things, technology is not a big deal.
Question? Anyone wants to have a question? Yeah, on the
etc. Is it not high time that we talk also about data ethics? Already Dr. Devendra has pointed out about the issues of privacy. So, as a state policy, since you have been an official of the government, is it not time to talk also about data ethics? Thank you.
Yes, it is high time. Yes. Not because they are very concerned about it, but because they have been made to be concerned by the media around. There is a lot of debate going on and a lot of ideas which are coming up to ensure that the privacy, the data privacy is maintained, the pristinity of the privacy of data is maintained. It's going on, but it still has to keep up pace with the technology as it is moving very fast. But I can assure you that it's not being overlooked at all.
hello. Please give the mic on the.
Thank you. Sir, you've spoken about the newer technologies, very enlightening. Can we connect this to Jesuit Alumni Association movement? You're aware of the national and international movement. What of the new technologies can we use to further this movement and take it forward on the objectives, and how?
But the general principles that apply to any database, what you're talking about is a sub-data stratum of the entire big data of humanity. It's a very small part of humanity. You can, most of the data that, most of the activity that we are doing is recorded, is being recorded there, is being recorded in the computer, in the YouTube, and all sorts of social media platforms. Now, there are experts, there are apps which can give you indications of in which direction are we really moving forward. If we can collect that, we can use it to design our questions and design our programs in a way that our ultimate mission, which is linking up with the Almighty, linking it up with the people who have been deprived of so many things. Are we getting into connection with these two areas? This is one area that we can look for. So what I'm basically saying is, your data is there. It's not that it is not there, because you cannot now, I'm sure if you just look at this program, there would be less of manual work and more of the digital work that's going on. What in technology they say analog and digital form of data collection. The moment you collect your data in the digital form, it's ready to be analyzed and it's ready to be used for the purpose that we want to use it for. So it's not a big issue, except that we are not applying, maybe we are not applying ourselves to that.
So this is Vincent Lobo from Mumbai. Put on people and been put behind the bars. Can there be a law where those who are given the cases or the officials can be put behind the bars for wrong information about the culprit or any person? One. Second, is there any way, since all the police stations have been connected with put on CCTV, and people they go to file a case and police they reject, can those people also be put behind the bars?
A man is putting up wrong information about somebody else. If I've got you right, is that what you had meant? Okay. He puts up a wrong information about you. Then your concern is, can he be put behind bars? The only question which will come in the intervening space is, what was his intention? Because criminal law, you must understand, has two components. One is called mens rea. In Latin it means your intent. And the other one is, of course, the action part of it. Actus reus, they call it in Latin. So actus reus part is there. The only other question will be, what was his intention? Suppose he has done it unmindfully. Obviously, you can't put him behind bars. He can say sorry and the matter is over. But if you can establish, or it can be established, that he was doing it with wrong intent, maybe damage your reputation or maybe earn some money for himself, then of course he can be. If he had just written something like this, then it would have been possible even in the laws in the Indian Penal Code. So there is no wrong. If he can get behind bars by writing it on a piece of paper, he can get behind bars by writing it on a computer. Writing is writing. Have I answered your question?
Cases, and as the police drive the person out, since there's a CCTV and the person was sitting on the chair in the police station, can't it be taken for?
Oh yes. Why should there be an issue? But can he be taken to the court of law to be put behind bars? Yes, he can, obviously. And people are doing it. Some people are not doing it. The fault lies with the person, not with the law.
The household name today is ChatGPT. So my question is, since we are discussing about education and TECHADE, will boards supersede human beings? Will boards supersede human thinking, critical thinking?
Well, ChatGPT is a really new concept. I've been reading about it. And I mentioned to you about the Turing machine, the Turing concept. It's related to that. When we chat to somebody, we know that there is a friend sitting on the other side, or at least there is a human being. Even in your mails, you would have seen mails which says, no need to answer because this is being generated through a machine. Suppose he doesn't write that, then you will not be able to make out that this answer was not through a man but through a machine. It's his graciousness, the site's graciousness, that he alerts you that this is a machine-generated answer. So the concept that you could keep talking to a machine without knowing that you are talking to a machine, that is a concept which is being used by ChatGPT. And it evokes a lot of thrill in me, at the same time a lot of concern, because you can get into a huge trap without understanding that you can. And the theory part of it says you can keep talking to it and you will not be able to understand. There'll be emotions, there'll be consciousness, there'll be all feelings that a human being has. It's scary at times and evokes a lot of thrill also. Satisfy a part of your curiosity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation once again, sir. And thank you all the delegates for your questions and your apt answers, sir. I now request our National Advisor, Father John Ravi, and the President of JAAI, S. Gentil Tumarji, to kindly felicitate our keynote speaker with a shawl, a bouquet, and a token of love from JAAI, a memento.